World leaders arrive at India's G20 summit, but can they find meaningful diplomatic solutions against the backdrop of Russia's war on Ukraine? Shelled by the Russians, 3 Ukrainian people were injured in Sumy on Friday morning, while a policeman was killed in Kryvyi Rih. Suspended Spanish football chief Luis Rubiales has been formally accused of sexual assault by Spanish prosecutors for kissing Jenny Hermoso on the mouth. Delhi, and arriving at the G20 summit of the world's wealthiest nations, the British Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak is the first British Prime Minister of Indian origin, and his wife Akshata Murthy is also the daughter of one of India's richest men. Italy's Premier Giorgia Meloni was also greeted at a summit where the war in Ukraine and the impact of Russian attacks on grain exports will be top of the agenda.
Over 250 million people face acute food insecurity worldwide, and by deliberately attacking Ukraine's port, the Kremlin is depriving them of the food they desperately need. This must stop.
As world leaders arrive, behind the scenes, efforts are being made on a joint communiqué, a tall order with Russia and China, both G20 members. Bombed in their beds, pulled from the rubble of their homes by rescuers. The town of Sumy was one of several places in eastern Ukraine shelled by Russia on Friday morning. 3 people were injured and dozens of houses destroyed. There were 14 strikes on Sumy region overnight. Another Russian airstrike hit a police station in Kryvyi Rih on Friday, killing a policeman and injuring many more. But the main front line is in Zaporizhia, where people who've lived hard lives on the land eke out an existence amid the shelling.
Ми виїжджали, не жалко було бросати корову.
Корова є, кури, качки.
Only 3 families live in the village of Privilne in the Pologivsky district, cut off from basic essentials like other villages nearby.
А ось ще п'ю дощову.
Дощову збираєте?
Кип'ятю, да, дощову, п'ю чай з дощової, варю з кип'ятю її, да. А де ж її возьмеш? Хіба ж її навозишся ото? А привезли ж панельку заряджати, а в тій панельці отакий фонарь колись на фермах.
People here say that since the start of the war, more than half the population has left the area. Luis Rubiales has been formally accused of sexual assault and coercion for kissing a player during the Women's World Cup, which the Spanish team won. Prosecutors filed the complaint against the now suspended president of the Spanish Football Federation at the Spanish National Court in Madrid. The case was launched 2 days after Jenny Hermoso formally accused him of sexual assault. A legal change in Spain last year eliminated the difference between sexual harassment and sexual assault, sanctioning any non-consensual sexual act. If found guilty, Rubiales could be fined or jailed, with sentences ranging from 1 to 4 years. It was during the awards ceremony and on camera in Sydney, Australia, that Rubiales kissed Jenny Hermoso on the mouth.
France's highest court for complaints against state authorities has ruled in favour of a government ban on the abaya Muslim dress for women in schools. The State Council in Paris on Thursday ruled that prohibiting the full-length dress did not constitute a violation of fundamental freedoms, but others argue the ban lacks clarity.
Cette interdiction ne repose sur strictement aucun texte juridique, que c'est finalement un effet d'annonce purement politique de la part du ministère de l'Éducation dans le cadre de la rentrée scolaire, et qu'en plus c'est un vêtement qui n'a pas été précisément défini et qui est considéré comme étant un vêtement qui n'est pas religieux.
France's Education Minister Gabriel Attal says the garment violates France's strict rules on secularism, which openly bans demonstrating religious symbols in schools. He added that 67 girls refused to change out of the dress on Monday and were sent home. President Macron has supported the ban as protection of secularism in French schools.
On the surface in Turkey, an international rescue mission to save a man trapped 1,000 meters below. The below ground too with Mark Dickey, who suffered internal bleeding while on a cave diving expedition.
As you can see, I'm up, I'm alert, I'm talking, but I'm not healed on the inside yet, so I'm going to need a lot of help to get out of here. And this is often in the caving world a great opportunity to show just how well the international world can work together.
More than 170 people, including doctors and paramedics, are on site, showing how the world of caving or speleology responds when accidents happen to those who dedicate themselves to exploring the subterranean world.
The death toll from Storm Daniel in central Greece has risen to at least 6 after extreme rainfall sparked devastating flooding in large parts of the country. Many people refused to leave their homes and thousands were left stranded. Rescue operations grind on and almost 2,000 people have already been saved.
Σήμερα ο κόσμος που έπρεπε να φύγει από το απόγευμα δεν έφυγε. Δεν υπολόγιζε ότι θα κατεβάσει τόσο νερό. Εγκλωβίστηκε ο κόσμος και αυτόν τον αγώνα που κάνουμε αυτή τη στιγμή δεν έπρεπε να τον κάνουμε, διότι θα έχει φύγει ο κόσμος το απόγευμα και δεν θα είχαμε τέτοια θέματα. Αλλά εμείς θα κάνουμε την προσπάθεια για να βγάλουμε τον κόσμο έξω από τα σπίτια.
Many people remain unaccounted for and the exact number of missing is yet to be determined. Recovery teams are still wading through the mud and assessing the damages. In the region of Thessalis alone, Governor Kostas Agorastos says he is predicting damages of around €2 billion. Residents in Romania's eastern village of Plauru are accustomed to finding fragments of military drones on their doorstep. They're used to drones flying overhead and to hearing air raid sirens sounding just a stone's throw away from their homes. That's because only a 200-metre strip of water separates them from the Ukrainian port of Izmail, the target of the latest wave of Russian attacks.
De aici, din localitatea Plauru, se vede cu ochiul liber ce se întâmplă în portul din Izmail. Vedem silozul unde se încarcă navele cu grâne din Ucraina. Putem să vedem foarte aproape inclusiv gara fluvială și nu foarte departe de aici, inclusiv sediul televiziunii din Izmail. Un port pe care rușii vor să îl distrugă pentru a împiedica pe ucraineni să-și exporte cerealele.
Lately, hardly a day goes by without the sound of explosions. Residents told of bombings just the night before.
Era la 2:58 de minute, când a bubuit prima dată. M-am trezit din pat, am ieșit afară, când deodată altă dronă. Tot aici spre unde au ei silozul.
Although they now live in constant fear, very few people in Plauru are willing to leave their homes. That's despite the mayor offering residents the chance to seek temporary shelter elsewhere.
Va fi probabil o mutare benevolă, dacă consideră dumnealor, în care domnul ministru mă asigură și domnul prefect, adică că găsim posibilitatea să beneficieze de aceleași condiții ca și un ucrainean.
But the villagers don't seem willing to budge.
Am vorbit primarul nostru că să vorbească cu oamenii care vor să plece, îi ajută, că a vorbit cu ministru și să ne aloce undeva în altă parte. Dar nu plec eu de aici. Nu plec eu.
Mama mia.
Ținte bine.
Russia has intensified its attacks on Ukrainian ports since July, when it withdrew from the agreement which allowed Kyiv to export its grain through the Black Sea ports. Residents of Plauru have been complaining that Russian military devices are entering Romanian territory. Searches have been carried out in the region, but nothing was found.
"30 years to life in prison for US actor Danny Masterson after he was found guilty of raping 2 women in 2003. Both attacks took place in his Hollywood-era home when he was at the height of his fame on the Fox network sitcom That 70s Show. Prosecutors claim that Masterson used his prominence in the Church of Scientology, where all women were the members at the time, to avoid consequences for decades after the attacks.
Concern over trends for COVID-19 ahead of the winter season in the Northern Hemisphere. The World Health Organization says the Omicron subvariant, Eris and other strains are on the rise. Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus is calling for new vaccination campaigns and is urging people to be proactive and not wait until an additional jab is recommended. Last week, the WHO's technical lead said hundreds of thousands of people have been hospitalised from the virus, while ICU admissions are increasing across the EU. These are Norwegian treasures dating from the 6th century AD. The objects described as the gold find of the century were presented to the Archaeological Museum in Stavanger after local man Aland Bora literally struck gold. Using a metal detector he bought earlier this year, the 51-year-old unearthed 10 gold pearls, 3 rings and several amulets, believed to have not seen the light of day for over 1,500 years. Representatives for the museum say during that century, Norway was hit by a plague and many people in the area died and had their treasures buried with them.